Houston Real Estate Radio. We've got an exciting show planned for you today. Remember that you can always catch all the show over at HoustonRealEstateRadio.com, where we post all the videos. We are going to have some Skyping in videos today. We're going to be doing a lot of Skyping. We're kind of going around the country today. We're going all the way out to California, over to San Antonio. We got a lot going on today. We're going to start with Stefan Swanepoel. He is Skyping in from California, and we're talking about the danger report. I know a lot of you guys follow me out there on Facebook, and mentioned for the last several months we've been talking about the danger report and some of the things that lie ahead for real estate. You can find the danger report online at realtor.org/danger report, or you just go to dangerreport.com to see it. So that's what we're going to be talking about this first and second segment with Stefan Swanepoel. He's been on the show before. If you remember last year, we talked about the book that he wrote, Surviving Your Serengeti. He was getting ready to come to Houston, and we talked about that was a really interesting book. It's a fun read, actually, if you've got time this summer. He is a business and trends author, a proponent of transparency of information in the home buying transaction. And he's warned us that there are too many real estate agents out there that are pulling down productivity standards and the image of agents in general. There are thousands of agents that never sell a home, and you don't want to be the consumer that uses that agent. It's too easy to get licensed. There's a huge need for realtors in the transaction, and we're going to be talking about that today. So he's Skyping in to talk about the danger report that NAR released. I guess it was the beginning of this year, wasn't it, that it was released?
Oh, it was only in the middle of May, so very recently.
So it was very recently. Days ago. Right, I believe it was right about the time we were in Washington, D.C. for the Hill visit. So
that's right, exactly.
All right, so we're going to be talking with Stefan. So there's so much to talk about because, this is a huge report. It covers so much. So I want you to start by just telling us, what is it? What is this report? It sounds so ominous.
It does sound ominous, doesn't it? And that was the intention. I think one should first and foremost give kudos to the National Association of Realtors, because the report is truly an introspection. It is a self-analysis of not only the National Association of Realtors, but of the entire organized real estate structure. So the licensing and the multiple listing and the brokers and the agent. We know that change is happening everywhere. Mm-hmm. Change has re-engineered industries and structures and companies. And the NAR is being very, very progressive in saying, let's look at our space. Let's look at our industry. Let's be very open-minded, very transparent. Let's try and identify what could happen in the future. The danger report doesn't tell us that something is wrong today.
Right.
It says, what are the potential risks, threats, black swans, anything that could harm or hurt the consumer, the buyers, the sellers, the agents, the transaction, the MLS, and let's put it on a list and let's look at it objectively. And if we can, let's try and fix it, improve it, make it better, streamline it, make it more cost effective.
So you have the leading management consulting firm for residential real estate. So you compiled all this data and just did all this research to complete this danger report. And it has a lot of information. Let's start by, there's over 50 dangers that are outlined in this report, right?
Yes.
So let's start with the dangers to agents. What do you see as the biggest danger? And we don't have time to go through all of them. Let's just go over a couple of them. What do you see as the biggest danger to agents, to the realtors out there?
Yes, we categorized all the information which we obtained, and we put it in, as you correctly stated, 5 broad categories. We looked at the agents, the salespeople, the realtors. We looked at the people who are the brokers, the managers, the owners. We looked at the National Association of Realtors as a national organization. Then we looked at all the associations, like where you are, right there where you are. We looked at the local and the state ones. So Texas and Houston, of course, all the other places across the country. Mm-hmm. And then last but not least, we looked at the multiple listing system. So first and foremost, we try to identify what could impact or harm the agent as we have them today. And although there's no definitive answer on what's right or wrong, we try to put them in the publication in order of what we felt was going to be the highest probability, mm-hmm. how soon it might happen or occur, and then how big would that impact be? Would it only be regional or local, or would it be a pretty widespread? And if I quickly grab my report here, I'm putting one right down in front of me here. So we said things like marginal agents that destroy the reputation of the industry.
Mm-hmm. We know there are a lot of those.
Oh, well, listen, I mean, you've spoken about this many times. there are many good agents.
Yes.
There are many agents which are super professional and that give you excellent service. But because the industry has such an eclectic, wide, diverse number of agents, unfortunately, we have a spectrum. We have the great ones, and then unfortunately, we have the ones which are not so great.
Yeah.
And it's those not so great ones that often are the ones which are the brunt of the media or the stories. And people say, well, realtors are bad. No, realtors are not bad. There are some real estate professionals that are bad. And it's those ones which pull down the reputation of the good ones that we have to be concerned about.
Yes. And to clarify, some of those agents, they do one transaction a year. They're new agents, and that's okay. They're learning. It's those agents that do one transaction a year for 20 years that I feel like have the biggest issues.
A good point there. Very good point. I mean, most medical doctors are not part-time. Most attorneys are not part-time. I mean, most people consider that as a full-time occupation. And although many real estate professionals do consider real estate a full-time career, there are many, and if I say many, hundreds of thousands, that actually see this as a part-time. They're actually a house mom, or they're working somewhere else, or they're working in another store. And yes, they do. I mean, some statistics tell us that there could be as much as a third of all licensed agents that do 0 transactions.
Yeah.
And when you're doing 0 transactions, or maybe 1 or 2 a year, clearly you don't have the same experience and same knowledge as those agents which do 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 a month, and maybe 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 a year.
Right.
Big difference. The consumer should always ask, how many transactions have you done? Where have you worked? What's your experience? Which company are you working for? How frequently have you sold in this neighborhood? What have you listed? What have you sold? I'm going to find out that the realtor which you are using is knowledgeable and experienced about the area which you wanted them to work in for you.
All right, so very good.
Another one. Let's quickly see. I'm paging here through in no particular order. Number 4 was one which has reached a lot of controversy. It says exodus of independent contractors. Agents in the real estate industry are independent contractors that work basically for themselves, and then they put their license with a broker. It could be a large national franchise like the Coldwell Bankers or the Sotheby's or the Keller Williamses or the Remaxes or one of those great big brands. It could be a great independent company in Texas. It doesn't mind. You could also work for yourself. But agents can physically move their license from company to company. There is some court cases at the moment in a few places across the country where it is being contested whether an agent should be an employee, or an independent contractor. At this point in time, if that legal structure changes, it will impact the industry. It might not significantly impact the consumer because the consumer will still have a real estate professional working for him or her.
Right.
But it will change the companies because the companies now sometimes are very large because they have lots of independent contractors. If those people were to become employees, well, then you have everything that goes with an employee structure.
Right, yeah.
And that's being contested at the moment in Massachusetts and in California. And we will maybe in the course of the next year or two find out whether that legal structure changes or not.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
Yes.
That will affect brokers for sure. Huge impact on brokers.
Yeah. Let's look at number 9. Commissions consolidate into fewer hands. We have many real estate professionals in this country. There's about, round numbers to make it easy for your listenership, let's say about 2 million licensed agents. And about 55% of those are members of the National Association of Realtors or their local equivalent, which means about 1.1 members are members of a professional society. They work for literally hundreds of thousands of different companies. As we progress over time, some of the big companies, the Keller Williams, the Realogy, the Berkshire Hathaways, they're growing bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And we see that these transactions are actually consolidating into fewer and fewer hands. We have maybe about a dozen or dozen and a half companies that at the moment are almost 50% of the entire country's business. That's all this trend is saying. It's not that that's a bad trend. We're just saying the fact that big companies are becoming bigger.
Yeah.
Be aware of that.
Okay, what about, real quickly, because we're running out of time here, but what about the dangers impacting brokers, the brokerages?
Well, the brokers have to be cautioned of the fact that there are legislative changes. There are things like the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. There are changes to RESPA. There are new changes to HUD forms. There are changes to mortgage requirements. Brokers have to stay current with all of that. There is ongoing technology changes, a lot of changes with regard to how business is conducted. The business model itself, number 5, that is changing. The way in which you deal with agents, how you manage agents, flat fee structures, discount structures, those are all changes. Brokers have to stay current with that. So I would say from a legal, tax, financial, government, technology point of view, brokers have a lot of things that they have to be aware of.
A lot of responsibilities.
Lots of responsibilities, yeah.
Okay, we're going to go to a quick break, and then we'll be right back with more from Stefan Swanepoel. So stick around. We'll be right back here on Houston Real Estate Radio.
RREA Media has an exciting new product available to companies and organizations who are teaching classes and want to offer those classes online. Introducing Easy Distance Learning. Easy Distance Learning is a video-based distance learning system that allows companies and organizations to leverage their existing classroom content into a broader reach and increased revenues. Did you know that the rate of growth of distance learning is 10 times that of classroom education? And 66% of chief academic officers think distance learning is critical to their long-term strategy. Right now, 33% of higher education students are taking at least one online class. Companies and organizations not offering a distance alternative to in-class instruction risk being left behind. Video-based distance learning has 3 basic components: classroom capture, post-production, and content distribution. Easy Distance Learning is a comprehensive and modular system that covers all 3 components that can help your organization with what you are missing in offering a quality and convenient online learning experience. You choose the parts you need help with. Easy Distance Learning offers another revenue stream, a broader reach of your existing content, and a professional presentation with a great learner experience. Contact us today for a free estimate and see how Easy Distance Learning can take your company or organization to the next level.